Ang susunod na programa ay rated G. Ito ay pwede sa lahat ng manonood.
Ano man ang sumbong na dala, basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun, sa Rapi Tulfo in action.
Good morning, mga katulfo. We're here again for another action-packed episode of hearing legal problems and giving the clear solutions to those problems. I'm your host, Hans Tulfo, and you are watching Hans Tulfo in Action. Beside me is my beautiful partner, Irish Alawi.
Hello everything! How are you to find out? We would like to thank our subscribers for the unending support you show us. Thank you for always making us number one on Twitter and YouTube.
Indeed. Thank you, mga katulfo.
Idol Hams, I think everyone is excited for today's episode, don't you think?
Why is that, Irish?
Because today, we will be focusing on the issues that relate to the indivisible and divisible obligations.
That's right, Irish. I do hope we can truly help our callers today understand and help them make the right course of actions in these individual issues. Now, let's get it on, Irish. Who is our first caller for today?
Idol, our first caller for today is a policeman and a businessman who owns a laundry shop. His business has been operating for 5 years. He is a loving father and a loyal husband. He's calling today to ask for advice about his agreement with his friend Alakdan. Let us call on Pardo Talisay from Pardo Talisay.
Hello, Pardo?
Good morning, Idol Hans.
Good morning, Pardo. Don't be nervous. Ako lang to. What's your problem, Pardo?
My friend na itatago natin sa pangalang Alakdan promised to deliver half of a washing machine on October 10 and the other half on October 15. I'm complaining because I don't think that the washing machine can be delivered into parts. What should I do, Idol?
I see. Basically, your issue lies with Article 1223 of the Civil Code of the Philippines. This states that the divisibility or indivisibility of items which are the subject of obligations including only one debtor and one creditor does not change or modify the provisions of the nature and effects of obligations.
Idol, there are what we call divisible obligations and indivisible obligations. When we say divisible obligation, that is when the item is capable of partial fulfillment in its delivery or results. Indivisible obligation, on the other hand, is when the purpose of which is not capable of partial fulfillment in its delivery or performance.
Exactly, Irish. So, actually, Mr. Pardo, your problem falls under indivisible obligations. Of course, we cannot break or divide the object into parts since it's a definite thing. Dividing the object will destroy its value or essence.
So, Mr. Pardo, you can talk to your debtor, Mr. Alakdan, to fully perform his obligation.
I guess, Pardo, we have solved your problem. Do you have any other concerns?
Ano, Idol? Gusto ko lang po mag-shoutout sa pamilya ko dyan sa Talisay. Artista na ako. Andito na ako sa Tulfo. Thank you, Idol. At sa iyo, Miss Beautiful Irish. Bye-bye, Idol. Sa ulitin po.
Goodbye, Pardo.
I think we need to take a short break, Idol Hans. Stay tuned, we'll be back after this short message.
Ano man ang sumbong na dala, basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun, sa Rapi Tulfo.
Sa bilis epekto ng Skelan, uy, kaya mo nang gumalaw-galaw. Woo! Salamat sa Skelan, ha? Bilis bisa, mahabang ginawa sa rayuma o arthritis. Wow! Galaw walang rayuma, galaw Skelan. Unilab yan.
siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun. Sarap ito.
And we're back, mga katulfo. A while ago, we had a discussion about the difference of divisible and indivisible obligations. So, Idle Hans, should we move on to our next call?
Yes, Irish. Please introduce our next caller.
Our second caller is one of the heirs of a certain deceased Robert Mondragon. She's a loving mother to her daughter Cassie and is calling to complain about her stepdaughter Daniela. They are arguing about their inheritance or pamana from the deceased Robert Mondragon. Let us call on Mrs. Romina Mondragon.
Hello, Idol. Hello, Irish.
Hello, Romina. How are you?
I'm fine, but lately something is bothering me. I miss my husband so much and I'm still recovering from his death. Mahirap pero kakayanin.
My sincere condolences to your family, Mrs. Mondragon. Everything will be fine in good time. So, what pushed you to call here in Hans Tulfo in action, Mrs. Mondragon?
Actually, Idol, my husband left several pamanas to me and his daughter Daniela. The properties he left were house and lot, home appliances, cash worth 2 million pesos, his jewelries, 10 hectares of land, and a Bugatti La Voiture Noire car. I'm having a problem since Daniela wants all of the pamanas. Can you give me some advice in resolving this issue?
Mrs. Mondragon, you can actually agree with Danielle on how to divide the properties to the different types of division.
Idol, we have reached on the line here Daniela Bartolome.
Hello? Who's this?
Hello, Mrs. Bartolome. This is Hans Tulfo. We are calling you because we received a call from Mrs. Romina Mondragon about the division of properties.
What? I don't need to talk to her anymore because the properties left by my dad are all mine. Do you understand?
I don't think that would be fair, Mrs. Bartolome. Mrs. Romina Mondragon is legally married to your father. Both of you have the rights to the properties.
Fine. Where is she?
I'm here, Daniela, my lovely stepdaughter. Miss me?
Well, I don't, Romina. Let's just go
Mrs.
over this so
Mondragon?
that we can finish this immediately. My gosh, Romina.
Mrs. Mondragon and Mrs. Bartolome, there are types of divisions we can apply in splitting up the properties of Sir Robert Mondragon. It can either be qualitative, quantitative, or ideal intellectual division.
So, Romina and Daniela, which properties do you want to acquire?
Home appliance and house and lot.
I'd like to have the jewels and the cash of 2 million pesos.
Alright, this division qualifies as a qualitative division. What do you want to do with the land and the car?
As a suggestion, it would be better to use quantitative division to divide the land. You'll have fair share of the land by then, and you can have the ideal or intellectual division for the car, which is worth $18 million, where then you can split the car through its value. You are both co-owners of the vehicle, therefore, and none of you believes that she has the absolute value of that object.
Okay, Sir Hans Tulfo and Irish Alawi.
Thank you for the advice. It is very helpful, but I'm sorry I need to go. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mondragons. To give a brief discussion about the kinds of divisions, we have Irish Alawi to talk us about the topic.
Qualitative division, quantitative division, and ideal or intellectual divisions are the three types of divisions. Qualitative is the one that is based on quality and not on the number or volume of material. Secondly, one is based on quantities and not consistency is called quantitative division. And finally, the ideal or intellectual separation is the type of division that only exists in the parties' minds.
Since we've addressed the kinds of divisibility, I'm also going to mention the kinds of indivisibility. legal indivisibility, conventional indivisibility, and natural indivisibility. Legal indivisibility is when a particular provision of law declares divisible obligations to be indivisible. To put simply, it's legal indivisibility when the law says it's indivisible. Conventional indivisibility is where the will of the parties renders divisible commitments as indivisible. It's basically indivisibility agreed upon by both parties. And finally, natural indivisibility, which refers to the item or presentation which does not need divisions, such as giving a specific vehicle or singing a song. It's basically indivisibility of an object by its nature.
In addition to that, the nature and effect of obligations are also applicable to divisible or indivisible obligations. They contemplate obligations involving only one debtor and one creditor.
When there's only one creditor and only one debtor, the latter must satisfy the duty in its entirety, whether the income is divisible or not, unless that consequence is expressly stipulated.
I think that's it for Article 1223, Idol.
Alright, well, don't change your channel. We'll be back after this short break.
Ano man ang sumbong na dala, basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun sa racket.
Bawal! Ay! Bawal! Ay! Bawal!
Ha? Pero paano malilinis to kung walang brush at bleach?
Tide lang!
Imposible!
Gulat ka?
Oo!
Kasi sa Tide Perfect Clean, natatanggal kahit ang nanuot na microdirt.
Tide lang! Hindi ko kailangan ng brush at bleach. Tipid! Yan ang Tide Perfect Clean!
Ano man ang sumbong na dala, basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun sa racket.
You're still watching Hans Rulfo in Action. Idol Hans. We have another caller on the line. Her name is Marie Evangelista, the event organizer of a certain mini concert. She wanted to seek legal aid about an unfortunate event that happened regarding the artists who weren't able to comply on their part of the agreement. Let's hear more from Marie herself. Marie, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Idol Hans and Irish. Thank you for accommodating my concern.
Good afternoon. So, you want to complain about the two artists who weren't able to render their performance. Who are they again?
They are Juliana Espanto and May Lustre, Idol Hans.
Can you further elaborate what actually happened on that day, Miss Evangelista?
Both Yana and May were expected to perform at the Apollo concert on the set date. Everything was already planned out and ready. However, during the last-minute check, Juliana did not show up, but May was around and prepared. I would just want to know how to go about all the damage I took in the absence of one artist.
I see. Upon hearing that concern, your situation mainly concerns the provision set by Article 1224 of the Civil Code of the Philippines. This article focuses on the effects of the non-compliance by a debtor in a joint indivisible obligation. In this case, it's the rendering of performance for the concert. You, Marie, as the creditor, can demand the damages of the concert to the artists for not being able to do their part.
By joint indivisible obligation, it means that the parties are just proportionately liable. The obligation is indivisible because the object or subject matter is not physically divisible into parts. Now let us call on Miss May and Miss Juliana to hear their side of the situation.
Hello po.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Panto and Ms. Lustre. This is Hans Tulfo from Hans Tulfo in Action. We called you here because there was a complaint from our caller to the both of you with regards to the recent event organized by Mrs. Marie Evangelista. Is it true that Miss Espanto did not show up during the last-minute preparation?
Yes, I admit, I wasn't able to show up because of some situation.
Could you tell us more about that situation?
I had to attend the birthday party of my friend that day. I totally forgot that it would happen on the same date of the event.
Miss Juliana, I just want to tell you that your reason does not invalidate your obligation to pay for the damages. And according to your agreement, you have to pay for the damages done. Both of you are required to pay the agreed portion of the value of the service you were obligated to deliver. Since you both are tied to a joint and divisible obligation, you have to pay equal halves of the total worth of 150,000. Or per se, it's 75,000 for the both of you.
Sir Hans, is it okay if I will pay partially? I'm not yet ready to pay 75,000 pesos all at once.
I'm so sorry to tell you this, Mrs. Panto and Miss Lustre, but since what you have agreed from the contract is a joint and divisible obligation, you, Miss Lustre, will only have to pay for your part. It is stated that you, the debtor, is bound only to the extent of your share in the obligation and can only be performed totally or completely, not partially.
You're right, Idle Hands. And since it is stated that the obligation can only be performed totally or completely, Miss Espanto will not be able to pay for the damages partially.
If that's the case, I completely understand.
Idle Hands, I will extend the deadline until next month so that Miss Espanto will be able to pay for the damages.
Thank you for that, Miss Evangelista. Are you okay with that, Miss Espanto?
Yes po, Idle Hands. Thank you, Miss Marie.
You're still tuning in to Hans Tulfo in action. Our next caller is calling about a tinnickling dance, where she only wants to do half of the dance. Ma'am Jemima, are you there?
Hi, Sir Hans. My feet will hurt kasi and I don't like to deal with all the pain. Plus, the choreographer is so maldita. She really wants me to make sayaw without looking at the feet, and it's a hirap naman to dance that way.
I get your sentiment, Miss Jemima, but according to your choreographer, you signed a contract to do the full dance. And according to Article 1225 of the Civil Code of the Philippines, the tinnickling dance is an obligation which cannot be diminished if you only do half of the dance. Therefore, it is an indivisible obligation. You have to finish the dance or you could be sued if you won't finish it.
But fine. This is so nakakainis.
Do you want to do a shout out before you end the call?
Sure. Shout out to all my fans over there, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And of course, thank you, Idol Rafi and Miss Ivana.
Bye, Jemima.
Idle Hans, our second caller is already on the line, and her name is Aling Nina, and she is very, very mad right now because her debtor did not give her the specific watch she wanted.
Idle Hands! I want him in jail! He did not give me the Rolex watch that he's obliged to give, and now he's saying that he's not going to buy that watch because he discovered that the watch costs a lot? What?
Let's calm down, Alinina, and let's resolve this here. We have on the other line John, and we are going to hear his sentiment.
Idle Hands, it is still a watch, and it is the same. I don't know what the problem is with that.
John, the problem is that the obligation is to give a definite thing. This means that you have to give the Rolex watch which you agreed on in order to diminish the obligation.
But Aling Nena wants me in jail.
Aling Nena can't send you to jail because it's an obligation that is a civil liability, but she can sue you and let you pay for the damages for not buying her the Rolex watch.
Aling Nena, please don't sue me. I promise you I will buy you that watch.
Fine, as long as you give that watch to me.
Now that that is resolved, would you two like to say something?
Wala po, Sir Hans.
Wala na po, idol.
Alright, goodbye. So, what's next for us, Irish?
Well, Idol, we are taking a break from our callers and will be reading a letter from someone who needs our help and your advice.
Let's hear it then.
Okay, here it goes. Dear Idol, my name is Ray and I have a problem. My brother owes me 1,000 pesos and we agreed that he will pay it to me in whole during a certain date. But when that time came, he had only paid me half the amount, and when I asked him for the other half, he exploded and said that he has the right to say no and dictate when he would pay the amount, and he told me that he would sue me if I would continue to insist him to pay. What should I tell him?
Ray, your brother, tell him that the obligation that he has on you is indivisible because of the agreement you both had. He cannot sue you for demanding payment because of the stipulations you had set. This is according to paragraph 3 of Article 1225 of the Civil Code of the Philippines. This states that obligations that are agreed by parties to be indivisible are still going to be indivisible even if the thing is physically divisible.
I'm sure that Ray is happy about your advice, Sir Hans, but before we continue, let's have a commercial break.
Alright, we'll be back after this short message.
Basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun. Sarap ito.
Ngayon na tag-ulan, madami ang sipunin, maiiwasan yan. Vitamin C helps make it stop. Your kid needs tibay-tibay, araw-araw. Punuin muli, punuin muli, punuin muli. Micronutrient deficiency, labanan natin pang may tibay, araw-araw. Oh yeah, kaya natin to. Micronutrient deficiency, labanan natin pang may bear brand, araw-araw. Oh yeah, kaya natin to.
Ano man ang sumbong na dala, basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun.
You're still watching Hans Tulfo in action. Our next caller here is calling about a concerned citizen who wants to build his basketball court for a day. His name is Mr. Dela Cruz.
Magandang araw, Sir Hans and Miss Alawi. Inireklamo ko si Mang Pedro. I hired Mang Pedro to build a customized basketball court with the dimensions of 15.2 meters wide and 28.7 meters long, and it is to be done within 1 month.
Mr. Dela Cruz, did Mang Pedro exceed the 1 month you gave?
No, Sir Hans. I just wanted the basketball court to be done as quickly as possible because I am excited to play. That is why I wanted the basketball court to be done within a day.
I get your reason, Mr. Dela Cruz, but according to Article 1225 of the Civil Code, obligations for execution of a certain number of days of work and accomplishment of work by metrical units are divisible obligations, which falls to the building of your basketball court, where you gave Mang Pedro 1 month to build, and its measurement is made of metrical units. Since it's a divisible obligation, Mang Pedro does not necessarily need to accomplish the building of your basketball court within a day. For now, you have to wait for a month to Mang Pedro to build your basketball court. But if Mang Pedro didn't finish his obligation within a month, you can sue him for delay or negligence and he will pay for his damages.
Oh, I get it, Sir Hans. Thank you.
Before you end the call, meron ka bang gustong batiin?
Binibati ko po, my beautiful girlfriend. Mahal na mahal kita.
Goodbye, Mr. Dela Cruz. Sir Hans, our caller is already on the line. Her name is Miss Santos.
Magandang araw sa inyo, Sir Hans at Miss Irish. I have something to ask po.
Hello, Miss Santos. What is it that you need to ask?
Ito po kasi, I am obliged to pay Mr. C 24,000 pesos for 12 equal monthly installments for 2,000 pesos a month. Out of curiosity, Sir Hans, ito po ba ay divisible obligation or indivisible obligation? To give, to do, or not to do obligation?
In your current situation, Miss Santos, it is a divisible obligation and an obligation to give. First of all, it's an obligation to give because you will be giving Mr. C the cash, which is a physical object. And lastly, it is a divisible obligation because the 24,000 is divided in 12 equal parts, with 2,000 per part. But the prestation to pay 2,000 a month is indivisible because you have to pay it monthly by whole.
Thank you, Sir Hans. Pwede po ba makibate?
Yes, Miss Santos, go ahead.
Binabati ko po ang aking handsome younger brother na si Kurt. Ate loves you. Mag-aral ka na mabuti. Soon, you will become a CPA. Laban lang. Thank you po ulit, Sir Hans at Miss Irish.
Alright, that ends our episode for today, Sir Hans. Thank you for tuning in.
To our viewers and listeners, I hope you have learned something today. See you on our next action-packed episode of hearing legal problems and giving the clear solutions to those problems. Once again, I'm your host, Hans Tulfo.
And Irish Alawi?
Goodbye.
Basta alam niyang tama kay makakasama mo siya. Di ka iiwanan, sigurado ko yun. Sa Rapi Tulfo